If the sound is turned up, I never know. Anyway, today we are going to talk about los objetos directos, direct objects. I advise you guys that if you are not very strong in English grammar and you truly don't understand what subjects are, what verbs are, what direct objects are, indirect objects, things like that, just the parts of speech that that you go to Google, you go to YouTube, and you try to figure these things out in English first, because it's very, very difficult to understand grammatical concepts in another language if we have deficits in our own language. So I am going to explain to you what a direct object is. However, it might be beneficial for you guys to go and just get a little refresher before listening to this video. So that's my advice. Remember, we do have a midterm coming up, and so you'll see all this stuff on the midterm, and you want to make sure that you have a good understanding of these topics. All right, here we go. Directo. What is a direct object? All right, so a direct object is the noun that receives the action of the verb, okay? It's the noun that receives the action of the verb. So let's look at some of these sentences and see if we can identify the direct object in each one of them. All right, I ate the pizza. What's the direct object there? Pizza. Yes, you're right. They watched TV. What do you think it is? Absolutely, it's TV. We did our homework. Our homework is the direct object. So look at these sentences. Do you see how pizza is receiving the actual action of the verb? It's being eaten. The TV is being watched. The homework is being done. It's receiving the actual action of the verb. All right. This is no different in Spanish. A direct object is the exact same thing. It's the noun that receives the action of the verb. In Spanish, it's the same thing. So if I wanted to say I ate the pizza, I'd say yo comí la pizza. There you go. La pizza is still the direct object. They watched TV. Ellos vieron la tele. Now you're probably looking at the verb ver and you're like, well, actually, no. That version of the verb, scratch that. Anyway, la tele, yes, la tele is the direct object. We did our homework. Nosotros hicimos, remember hicimos from class? La tarea, we did the homework. So la tarea, la tele, la pizza, these are the direct objects. Really hope this is loud enough. All right. So, to avoid repeating a direct object noun, so let's say that you were having a conversation with someone and you're like, yeah, yesterday I wanted to eat some pizza, so I put the pizza in the oven, and then afterwards I waited for the pizza to cool off. Do you hear how pizza is redundant? So whenever you want to avoid doing that, you want to avoid repeating a direct object noun, you can replace it with a direct object pronoun. So you could say, instead of saying pizza over and over again, you could say, yesterday I wanted to eat pizza, so I put it in the oven, and then I let it cool off, and then I ate it. So in English, him, her, and it are examples. And just like adjectives, these pronouns must match the noun they are replacing in the same gender and number. Let's look at it. If you're talking about it or him or you, and you being usted, we're being formal here. and it's a male, then you're going to use lo. If you're talking about them or you and it's masculine, you use los. If you're talking about it or her or you and these things are feminine, then you're going to use la. And if you're talking about them or you, then you're going to use las. So here's something that I want to point out. What is something that we notice about this? What do we notice? You probably noticed that you put the direct object in front of the verb that is conjugated. So instead of putting it after the verb like we would in English, you put it in front of the verb. And this is something, guys, that's going to take a long time to get accustomed to doing. In my Spanish 5 class, I still have to remind kids sometimes to put their direct object pronoun in front of the conjugated verb. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at these sentences and I want you to try to rewrite them using a direct object pronoun. Okay? So, ellos comieron los perritos calientes. They ate hot dogs. ¿Tú miraste el programa anoche? Did you watch the program or show last night? Juan practicó el béisbol ayer. Juan practiced baseball yesterday. Yo compré las pelotas de golf. I bought the golf balls. Ellos dieron. Dieron comes from the verb dar. It's the conjugation in the preterite tense is an irregular verb of the verb dar, to give. So ellos dieron los patines como un regalo. So they gave the skates as a gift. Yo hablé con las profesoras. I spoke with the teachers. ¿Tú leíste el libro? Did you read the book? And ellos trajeron los trajes. They brought the suits or the outfits. So look at number 1. Los perritos calientes is going to be your direct object pronoun, right? So what would you replace that with? Give it a second. Absolutely, you would replace it with los because it is masculine and it's plural. And how do we know that? We know that because of the article, the los, and then perritos. So what you need to do right now is pause the video and try to do these example sentences, and then we'll see if you get them right. So pause the video right now. Don't just skip it. You're not doing yourself any good by just skipping this part. Answers. Ellos los comieron. Tú lo miraste. Juan lo practicó ayer. Yo las compré. Ellos los dieron como un regalo. Yo las hablé. Tú lo leíste. Ellos los trajeron. There you go. See you later.